The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, the Black Tea Party, featuring weekly discussions on political news and current affairs. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, the Black Tea Party.
Here we go, you guys. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We are here. I know many of you out there wonder where we are. Well, we are back. You're watching the Black Tea Party here at Black Hollywood Live. My name is Shirley Husar, H-U-S-A-R. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as a lot of other social media sites. So check me out. And my co-host, starting with Don.
Hi, it's Don Nash. I'm so happy to be back, Black Tea Party. I'm black, I got my tea, I got my opinions, I've got my point of view. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Hey, Mike Tiemont here, at Michael Tiemont, MIHKELTEEMANT. Michael J. Tiemont on Instagram and michaeltiemont.com.
Nice. Hey guys, so happy to be back. What's up? Missed you guys for the past couple of weeks. You know. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace. I also do a show with our sister station after Buzz TV, How to Get Away with Murder and Blackish. You can check me out there as well. I know.
Murder.
It's murder.
We have got a lot of great topics to talk about today. I am so excited because we're going to talk about several things. One, we're going to talk about $15 an hour versus working for yourself. Because a lot of us, a lot of us
do have that working for ourselves type thing going with us.
We do.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
We do. And then we're going to talk about Taye Diggs and his son.
Yes.
I know a lot of us are boiling inside about that subject matter. Is he black or is he white? We don't know, but we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Syria and the refugees that were not allowed to come to the U.S. So let's start with our first subject, which is working for yourself. Okay, everybody knows what is the hottest video of the hottest woman in business right now. Anybody know who that is?
The Patti LaBelle, right?
Oh, the pies.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, that is it the hottest video though?
Oh my God, yes! It's done over 9 million views on Facebook.
That is true. That is very
and because
true.
of whom? Of the young man. That's right. Don, what do you feel about that?
You know what? I was skeptical as to whether or not that was like a campaign or something.
Like a joke?
Not a joke, but I just wondered if Patty had anything to do with it.
Right.
Because this dude, first of all, he scared me because I didn't know he was
His name is James Wright, by the way, everybody.
But James Wright, hilarious, number one. James,
love
good for you.
James. Shout out to you.
But he did the greatest hits of Patty while gnawing on this pie.
Yes, he did.
And then he says, go to Walmart and buy your Patti LaBelle pie. And I was like, that's a plug.
Right.
He said Gorilla Glue, locked up in that pie. Well, I love you guys so much that I went to Walmart.
Shut up. You brought the pies.
And I did the best that I could to try to get the pie.
Sold out, right?
It's kind of like sold out. Everybody wants this dang pie.
I was about to freak out.
But the good part about
I was literally like, okay, what song am I going to break out and sing?
I was like, wait, this is already ready. Yeah, I could eat that right now.
But I do have something kind of close.
Okay.
Close?
I brought another sweet potato pie.
Oh, no.
Yes,
Wait,
ladies.
I hope this ain't from Aretha.
No, this is not from Aretha.
It's funny when people...
I would trust Aretha more.
Would you?
No, Patty can cook. Patty's always...
You're saying Aretha
What
can't
is that?
cook? Respect, bro.
Whose pie is this?
Isn't this wonderful?
That wouldn't bake long enough. Who pie is that?
They just baked it for us, baby. Go on and read
They
the
baked it
critics.
for us?
Wow.
Ooh, doing that
Wait a minute. It is the Gourmet Cobbler Factory.
Cool. Pasadena, guys.
In Pasadena. We're going to taste this gourmet.
We're going to do a taste test right now as we talk about the subject matter because we got so many to go through. But I just thought I'd show y'all. Wasn't that love?
That smells
like
you
guys
beautiful.
excited?
It looks like 3.1 film with no repeating remainder.
It's funny when people with household names like Patty they're able to do stuff like this or be a part of projects like this or whatever, create, just because, it's Patti LaBelle, so whatever she does, even if it's weird or funny, I thought it was just a funny little video, but it's serious. So
it's a serious thing.
It's serious, so it's interesting.
Yeah, and then he did like a follow-up video too, which I kind of like. I was done.
Seen. Okay.
I didn't need to see the follow-up.
Oh, okay.
But the initial video, hilarious.
Very good.
This pie actually smells good.
It does smell good, and here, I have the knife down here.
And you know what? I always like my sweet potato pie to have a little brown on it. This has got a little brown on it.
Has a little brown on it.
It has a little brown on it. It means that it's been in the oven long enough. You know.
So let's talk about this pie. This pie is this pie.
Sucks.
This pie is from Pasadena, but we're going to talk about Patty sweet potato pie. And the videos that have gone viral from it is amazing. And a lot of people are just kind of impressed with the fact that when you own your own business, the repercussions of when it goes viral versus regular marketing. What do you guys feel about that?
No, totally.
I can agree with that.
Have you guys seen the Squatty Potty commercial?
The Squatty Potty.
What's the Squatty
what do you
Potty?
mean?
Oh my God! You guys don't know about the Squatty Party?
Definitely haven't seen
guys,
that.
Google Squatty Potty after you're done watching this. It's the greatest commercial ever. They made this where a unicorn poops ice cream sherbet rainbow. It's the weirdest commercial ever. But you look at that. You look at Dollar Shave Club. That guy made his own commercials and started right away by throwing them on the internet for Dollar Shave Club. He just started by doing it.
Is that so? That's not a bad thing necessarily.
No,
right?
but that's the thing is now we're in a time where like small businesses can get off the ground by spreading what they have.
I have spoons. Hold on.
We got spoons. It's a taster party. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I think that there is something very valuable in terms of what's happening in the social media market that's allowing people to take advantage of becoming owners of your own business and then riding the social media wave to launch a campaign like this.
I think it's just interesting because it is like you said it like that. You said the same thing basically. We're all saying the same thing. The internet has done something very different to us as talent, us as social media people, us as influencers, like even the people they call influencers now. It's a teenager that has 3 million views. They're an influencer now. It's very weird.
It shapes culture.
It shapes culture. Like the people, like I said, the word influencer to me, it's such a strong word, and we're using it based on whatever. I mean, even with marketing, like we're saying, with smaller businesses, they're able to completely revamp themselves and go from small to medium by themselves. Like you don't even have to, you don't have to get a production company and all that stuff. They come to you.
Right.
They're coming to you now. It's a very different thing. So
okay, well, I don't know where the forks are, so you're gonna have to do old school eat with your hands. So 1, 2, 3. Let's all savor the taste in our mouth.
I'm not the biggest sweet potato fan, so let's see how this is.
I'm gonna take like a small piece.
Smell it up.
I don't do finger food, y'all. Can I use this knife?
Oh my
I'm
God.
a man, Don.
I love a man.
I am a man.
Really good.
A brother that use a knife.
Come on.
Okay, take a little piece here. Ready?
I have to. I'm sorry.
I don't even like sweet potato pie, and this is good. It's not too smushy.
Wow, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
I feel like I could break out into a verse of something Luther. No. This is too good.
It's very good.
Yeah, peach cobbler.
I should really not have a pie today. I really got to be better.
So Mike, say
Gourmet
what it is
Cobbler
again?
Factory. Oh, they got cobbler. Oh yeah. Cobbler's my thing, man.
So with them,
peach
how did you
cobbler.
find them?
I found them because I live in Pasadena.
Okay.
And they've been around for quite some time. So they specialize in pies and cobblers. And I said, can you make us a sweet potato pie? And they said yes. So I was so excited and I wanted to try one. And they made it fresh and hot. So this pie just came out of the oven less than an hour ago.
How much was it for a pie?
$14 for the
that's
pie.
totally fair.
So what's the history with the company? Did they start, mom and pop shop? Is it just two
This
friends?
mom and
What
pop
is it?
shop has been around for some time in Pasadena. I don't know how many years. But if we referred it to, we're talking about Patty LaBelle pie.
Right.
We're talking about this pie that Patty has is an 8-ounce pie. It's $3.50. That's why it's sold like crazy because
$3.48.
$3.50.
$3.48. Falling prices.
For the whole thing?
yes.
For the whole pie is $3.48.
Stop it. I did not see that. Oh, I lied. I did.
$3.48. Now I don't know how much is this pie.
I already
This
forgot
pie was
about
14,
that.
but this is the much bigger pie. I think this might be a 12.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. But
But this is a
still.
good
10
pie.
inch. 10 inch.
And if you're watching us and you want a good pie
Oh my
locally,
God.
because I'm telling
and
you,
can't
I
do-
like to eat. I'm a foodie.
Oh, hell
I'm a
yeah.
foodie, and we can't always get Patty's
I have to
pies
eat
right now.
that.
so
It's
we
Gourmet
can't buy
Cobbler,
them.
and they're at 33 North Catalina Avenue in Pasadena. I don't know if they have a website, but Gourmet Cobbler Factory.
Shout out to them.
So,
you
and
go.
one more in conjunction to Patty. Patty's pies have sold 2.3 million in a matter of a week plus.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have just crashed everywhere with this pie at Walmart. That tells you how small entrepreneur as Patty is. She's a big one, but here's a brand
Yeah.
name.
You're right, this is
came out
something
with
different.
a good product. Price point was excellent. Wouldn't you say that was an excellent price point? For
Well,
a pie?
I'll say the price point is excellent depending on what her workers get paid and stuff.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
That's always my turn. My turn is that's where I sit now. I go, okay, I'm getting a good deal on this. Who's getting screwed over?
Right.
An iPhone with marketing and everything costs about $70.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
You make a very good point. I'm gonna still eat this pie.
No, but this is a small business. And it's a little different. A lot like first of all,
but you have to be fair. Here you are, a person that has to invest in marketing. You have to invest in price point, where you're going to put that product at.
Yeah.
How do you get that product advertised? I mean, there's a lot of money that person puts up front. Then they want to make it so that it's affordable for everyone.
Yeah.
And we have to give credibility to that. Also, those yams are grown in California, so she is. I love it. The fact California workers are getting paid off this pie.
You speak of Patty jams are born.
Yeah, they're in California.
But you know, I have a problem with Walmart though.
Okay.
And my
that's
problem
what
with Walmart is their business
that's
model.
another thing.
My problem
That's
with
another thing.
Walmart is their business model, because what it tends to do is Walmart tends to drive these small mom and pop and entrepreneur businesses out of the way.
Okay.
What they tend to do is to go into a market area, study the market trend, and then duplicate it and sell it at a minimal price, so that the competitors in the marketplace, such as mom and pops, can't compete.
Right.
So here is, right?
Cute mom and pop
I'm not
shop.
gonna.
Cute mom and pop shop that can't afford to sell this pie for $3.48,
Right.
because they're competing with Walmart. So what does that do economically to that suburban area? And if you go back and look at Walmart, they're notorious for this.
Well, let me ask you this.
Wow,
Do
that's
any
such
of you
a good
shop at
point.
Walmart?
No.
Well, I stopped.
Not unless I
You stop,
absolutely
you stop.
like. If
I
I'm
didn't
with my
stop,
mom.
but I haven't shopped since I've moved here because where the heck is it?
Listen, when I went over, this was several years ago, I don't know if they still have it, but Walmart opened up on Crenshaw Boulevard, Crenshaw and King in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And I never forget, you could go there and buy weave hair, 2 bags, for $3.
No.
Now,
no.
mind you, they were right across the hold a second.
No.
They're right across
I have no
the
idea
street.
what the weave market
Literally,
is.
they
What
were
is
right
it?
across the street from a strip of
That
nothing
is
but
stupid.
hair shops. And as a result, all of those hair shops begin to close down because they couldn't compete with Walmart, who's doing it for
But
falling
we're
prices.
talking about
you
small
serious?
business.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah, and-
corporate business.
Yeah.
And the competition of it. So,
But you promote small business, but they have to face
Patty's not
the
known
giant.
for food. She's known for singing. She's known for her cookbooks.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to still put Patty in that small business category.
I'm with Shirley on this,
I
too.
agree with that. I think
Okay,
she's
so
she's
I'm not going to blame her for Walmart's
No,
problems.
I'm not even. I don't
Yeah.
want to go into this whole Walmart antic. The purpose
Yeah.
of this point of the show is to talk about small businesses. I give her props. I give anyone props that want to get out there and create their own wealth and not look for someone to give it to you, or get mad at people like Walmart, who also was a self-made man, Sam Walmart, and how it has evolved is another story. But the fact that he started an evolution of education and also helping people have jobs all across the United States.
I mean, he
out
does,
of the
but
country.
even to your point, like, what happens when a small business grows into a bigger business? Then what happened? Do we keep the same props, or are we still hats off? You started from the bottom, but now you're at the top, and you are, you dominate a lot of the supermarket, world. Then what? Do the rules change? Do we look at them differently? That's an interesting question.
I think it's the nature of the beast when you're dealing in big business and dealing in America that you're going to run up to this. If you're fortunate enough to grow your business, then you have to deal with the big boy problems. I think what we're talking about is the new small business entrepreneurship, and I think the point here is you can get free advertisement. Free promotion if you utilize the social media thing.
Absolutely.
Because that's in essence what has happened for Patty.
And you can also take the fact that in small businesses, you can do them now online. You don't have to have a brick and mortar.
overhead of, yeah.
Brick
Look
and
at
mortar
MeUndies and all those.
Yeah.
There you go. So I think that we have to keep that in mind, because as entrepreneur and as people in the community, we look for so many other ways to either obtain a job, or we think after we get a degree, we need to go and look for a job. Here's a woman who everyone knows her name, but had a product that kind of went viral based on social media, which is a free community of marketing.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
go ahead.
Let's going to move on to the next subject matter, which is Vietnam vet. There's a Vietnam vet. His name is Daryl Oman. He is featured on Upworthy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Upworthy. And Upworthy has this video. I want you guys to go to Facebook right now. It has over 18 million views. 18 million views talking about $15 an hour. Don, give me your opinion on this. This young man, he's speaking to an audience, and he has some hesitations about his work ethic, in the sense that he's not getting paid his own fair share from big corporate America, KFC.
What does he want to get paid?
He wants $15 an hour.
Oh, okay.
He's currently getting paid $7.50.
You know, hats off to my brother for standing up and declaring that I've served my country and now I'm back here and I'm struggling, I'm working hard, and I'm being underpaid. I don't want to look in the face of my children, is what he said. And I don't want them to look at me and think that, you know, this is all that I can do when I'm actually working hard. And I think that sometimes we have to back up and look at the big picture. Are we building big people? Are we just building a big country with people that are small? You know, and have to deal with small things.
Really
That's my
interesting
thing.
point. Wow.
Is like, okay, so everyone wants to demonize these jobs, which, by the way, no billionaire can make $1 billion without these workers. And we talk about, well, there's just not enough money. Here's an example. McDonald's this week gave a $30 billion payout to all its investors. $30 billion. It would cost $300 million to double their pay, and give them health insurance and give them sick pay. $300 million of $30 billion. Now, to put it in another perspective, all of Wall Street, and when I say Wall Street, I mean the guys who are in the offices making the trades, not people at home bidding. Their bonuses are twice that of all minimum wage earners combined.
Gosh.
So there's money. This is my issue with business. Is it's always more and more, and it's always for the investors. The middle class is getting enough that they're okay with the lower class not getting their share.
Okay.
But there's money. That people look at me like, oh, you just want to steal people's money. I'm like, well, these Wall Street guys are making $300,000 a year starting out.
Yeah, but
some of these firms. That's before their bonus.
But you can't take away the winnings of someone that works that hard.
Absolutely.
Whoa. That's my point. What about the guy who's at the fryer putting the fries in? The guy who's cashing. If those guys don't work, everyone says McDonald's is real estate. True. That's how they made a lot of money.
Right.
But their worker, if they still don't sell a hamburger, that real estate that they're on without building something else is worthless.
Yeah.
We have to, that's why labor unions are important.
Stacey, I want to hear your take on that. What do you think about it?
Well, I guess I'm trying to finish. I kind of understand where Mike's coming from, and I was trying to finish like analyzing it in my head because, you know, the minimum wage lifestyle, like I'm from Texas, so when I had a minimum wage job there, you know, $8, $7.50 was acceptable. And when I moved here and I had a minimum job for $11 and people were like, girl, you need to ask for $15, I'd be like, for $15? That's so much. Like, even that's why I was like, it's so much to me because I always had the $7.25. I got lucky with $8.50. I mean, for real lucky. You know, if you got a $10 job, like you were doing it, you know, because of the cost of living. So it's just interesting to know, I mean, to hear someone say that, like, I agree with Don in terms of like, heck yeah, you deserve that kind of money. Like, and it's not even a lot, especially when you give numbers like that. And I do think there is money, and it's just hard because, and this is like kind of off topic, but I think it's an international thing too. I think you can go to a lot of countries and see the same thing. There's money and people are not getting it. There's money up here and it's never trickling down. And to Don's point about taking it from the winnings, it's not really about that, but there's money where they could win and we could win. But then, of course, you know, the way we like to place the classes wouldn't make sense to them anymore.
You need more money than $300,000 and a bonus of $1 million.
Possibly.
A year.
It depends on your lifestyle.
Then what about the guy making $7.50 an hour?
Hold a second. I believe that guy should make as much money as he or she wants to make. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, what I am against is saying that someone who's making money because of their choices and their decisions and their work ethic and practice should have to give their money to help the bottom. Right. I'm not of that mindset.
I do understand.
Now, when I listened to this young man speak, I thought, good for him. That's what I said when you asked me.
Right.
Good for him. He's speaking up. He's found a platform where he can be heard, and he can begin to negotiate accordingly. He will forge his way. I think he should be an example to encourage the rest of us.
But if we also look at the fact that he's a Vietnam vet, and if you watch the video, for those who have not seen it, please make sure you go to Upworthy. It talks about the fact that you had 10 million comments. One of the comments that was made is that the fact that he could have gone to the vets and asked for support. That there is supplemental income that is allotted to people that serve in our country. Yeah, but so many people have already done
that, and I think
it's not that much, to be honest.
Well, it's not that easy either. So when they were making that comment, but it was interesting because it had over 100,000 shares and comments on that remark. Like, well, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Look, the bottom line is this.
They're not the one in the freaking situation. So
no,
that too.
No,
he has kids.
But this is my issue.
Okay.
If you serve in the Vietnam War, if you served in Iraq, if you serve in the current war, the war we might be going into Syria, which I pray we don't. But if any war that we go into, you know that when you come out of that war, you should be going in that world trying to get some type of trade. Because most people who serve in this country learn a skill.
Oh, see, that's,
okay, let me finish my
interesting.
thought. They learn a skill. There's technology skills, there's mechanic skills, there's cooking skills. And if this young man's passion was cooking or frying or serving, he has that fortitude of service. I love his passion because you hear the ear in his voice of, like, you know, I got a family to feed. I love to fry this chicken. Y'all ain't paying me enough. I serve my country. Why didn't his country train him? Why did he not try to get some type of trade of a degree or some type of culinary art school? Why did he not pursue that in lieu of? There's a lot of questions regarding this video of this person.
It still comes down to, should someone be able to live off what they make? That's my first thing is what we should be paying a lot more for a lot of things we buy. We like to think that we're paying a lot. We're not paying near as much as we should be paying for certain goods and services.
If we started paying more for certain things, though, like I would personally freak
Mike,
out.
Yeah, because we're
Mike, let me
materialistic.
say this to you.
But
how do you pay more when you make less? That doesn't
That's
make
exactly
any
no.
sense
That's
to me.
the point is that's the point.
Okay, so
if minimum wage if minimum wage kept up with inflation from 1983, I think that was when it was $3.25 an hour. That's when Reagan was in office. If it kept up with inflation, it'd be $21 an hour. So they're still making off like bandits.
Right.
So and that's just cost of living.
Okay,
That's
so I'm
nothing
gonna take
extra.
Making up.
I'm going to go back.
The corporations.
I'm going to go back in time. If we think about businesses today, we think about McDonald's. We think about the guy who mows your lawn. We think about the guy who throws you your paper, your newspaper, for those who still get paper in front of their house. Those were young teenager jobs. Those were not adult jobs. I remember when I was in high school, people who worked at McDonald's, that was cool to work at McDonald's or Jack in the Box or something like that.
Yeah.
I worked at McDonald's.
Or KFC.
Yeah.
That was not considered a job that you look to in the future to feed or supplement your family.
Because that was supplementing your personal
we
health.
used to have factories.
That was supplementing your personal issues. So the problem I have right now is that we are kind of turned around. We're dysfunctional right now in the sense of America. We have a lot of people who are here legally and illegally who have these jobs that used to be for teenagers, now going to adults who want to feed their family on these jobs.
But I think that we're also teaching people how to sustain and not necessarily empower them moving forward. So, for example, if I listen to you talk about this gentleman going into the war and fighting, I'm thinking if I was there, I'd probably be trying to get back alive. You know what I'm saying? And now I've got to try to strategize. What can I learn from these people?
I get back,
so when I get back home, if I get back home, I might be able to get
I know
a job.
a lot of servicemen, and the men that I know have served our country, they would tell you there is a regiment that they give them. There's a strict routine that they're put upon. They tell them about opportunities of when they do leave the armed forces, when they're in the armed forces.
Well, if that's the case, then that needs to be revisited because there's too many of them that are back.
Absolutely.
Not knowing what to do. This gentleman, if you listen to when he did his presentation, he literally says, "I love cooking. I love to watch the people come in and that smile on their face when they eat the food that I prepare." He's got a great passion. What he doesn't have is the know-how.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a system that he's trying to build so that this could turn into something.
You know, my whole thing is why did he think about buying his franchise?
Well, how is he going to, off $7.50 an hour, how is he going to buy a franchise? That's my question.
That's the thing.
How do you move up into a small business?
You don't need more than $7.50 an hour in order to move into a position of possibility for that franchise. What you need to have is the...
Come on, Don.
No, you've got to be able to envision... It's like Stacey said.
But
Stacey said she was happy to get that 810.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But someone had to come to her and say, you should ask for more.
Right.
They had to get Stacey to see herself differently than she did.
Right.
These corporations were all just faceless numbers to them. That's my point. My point is they're going to do, and what they're going to do is that what they continue to do, and they've been doing it since the 70s. They keep taking more and more. Some companies used to just offer sick, then they took that because investors. We have a gambling system of economics in this country. The problem is we have a gambling system of economics. Google doesn't turn a profit. Everybody know that? Amazon does. It's all based off futures. We have venture capitalists investing money. They're all making billions of dollars, yet nobody sees it. Except the top 1%.
Mike,
something needs to change.
Mike, we live in a capitalist society, okay? And a capitalist
No, we live in an oligarchy.
No, we live in a capitalist
Literally.
Okay, we live in a capitalist society, if you like it or not. Now, how you look at it is another subject matter. But the fact that we are capitalists in this country, and the fact that if you have it, take advantage of it and use it to your best interest. When we go back to what Don said, the mindset of how we value our self-worth will execute the future of our outcome, of ourselves, our children to come.
Not everybody
If you're
can
going to sit back and spend your time and energy, if you're going to spend your time and energy and focus on people who have more money than you, if you're going to spend your time and energy and focus on corporate America and how they did you wrong and how they got bonuses, you will never be with them because they'll never let you in the door.
Even though I agree to the point that you're saying mindset is very important. If you were, the wallowing, all that stuff, it does not help the future. I agree. But just like we talk about other situations, if the way you just said that, we talked about like parents growing up or the way kids are growing up, that we've always said, if you don't have those opportunities, how do we expect them to have the mindset that we just have? We just collected, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like saying the way you see yourself is important. I think we can all agree with that. But if you don't get that luxury, I've never been in the war, but if I'm there, it's a tough world, things are always stressful, blah, blah, blah. And then I come back and I'm supposed to be like, okay, I'm ready to take over the world. I don't really think that's the case. And it's like, how do I expect them to have that mentality if it wasn't already bred into them? Like you said, if you don't have an opportunity of someone saying, you should ask for more, you deserve this.
I would say this to you. In this show, our goal is to encourage people and to have you move forward. There's videos on YouTube that talks about affirmation. Say good words to yourself. Look for businesses that talk about things that are in conjunction with what you like to do. Ideas and thoughts that you might have on your mind. Don't think of corporate America as I'm going to go work for that person and then they're going to take care of me. Have an option.
Right.
But there are no options.
There are options.
There are options. Mike, you have an option.
I just gave
What's
you
my
option.
option?
You have a car business. You have an automotive service, right?
That I barely make enough to maintain my car, and I'm moving back to Vegas probably. So that's a bad example right there for a $50 billion company.
You have an automotive business.
For a $50 billion company, I don't make enough to stay in Los Angeles.
Mike,
and I work 40 hours a week.
I need you to calm down. Let him get his point across.
Hold a second. You have an automotive business, right? A service that you provide, right?
I am a
yes
independent.
No?
I'm not a business owner.
Okay, now you're not making as much as you want to make right now in that particular business, but my question is, how much of that profit are you giving to someone that doesn't have a car?
Huh? How much is that?
Do you follow what I'm saying?
No.
You're making a profit in this business. It's not the profit that you want to make because you obviously want to make more.
Yeah. Okay,
but my question is, are you looking at people who don't even have a car, and are you taking portions of your profit and giving it to them so that they could come up and eventually get a car just like you and maybe start a business?
That's a
just
totally
like you?
No. That's a false analogy. No, because nobody's working for me. I work for me, so it's different. You're talking about Let's go back to the beginning.
But
you have to have workers. These companies need workers, and those companies should pay their employees a living wage.
We mirror the same philosophy on a different level is the point I'm making. Okay. Right now, you're looking at the big business and the corporations, and you're saying they make all this money, they should be doing this. I'm saying that on your level, you're making this money. What are you doing to someone that's not on your level yet? Because that's the same. It's the same.
We're talking about Uber, you guys.
I work for Uber and Lyft now.
I don't want to give them no plug because they have a $50 billion company, and Mike can't afford to live in LA.
I'm telling, but that's the thing. When you look,
they pay their bills.
But but their model used to be people were making $50-$60 a year. When I got into it, I was on the tail end right when people started quitting because they weren't. Because Uber just came in, slashed all their prices in half. So you were making $60,000 a year. A corporation comes in and just goes, you know what? You're making half of that from now on.
Let me ask you, Mike.
So what kind of business owner am I?
You go to your product.
How do I have? I have no say over my pay. I have no say over anything else but my own.
But then quit.
Right.
Where am I gonna go?
No, there's other. What do you mean? What do you mean? Where are you gonna go? People quit their jobs every day.
On this note. Listen, Mike, calm down. I'm gonna leave you on this note. There's many opportunities of businesses. You can work for somebody or you can work for yourself, okay? And there's different ways to work for yourself. One is to work for Uber, work for Lyft, work for KFC, whatever the case may be. They offer a service render, and you have to make a decision if you're going to accept that amount of service render. If you don't like the service render, meaning how much you're getting paid per month, per day,
just
per hour.
Just go somewhere else where you can't afford to live.
Then start your own.
That's a great idea.
Start your own.
How?
You start your own by going online. You start your own by looking at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Start an app, guys.
And start finding mentors of people that you can model after. Moving forward, let's talk about Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs currently is in social media because he is a hot topic. The boy don't know if he black or white. Now, I'm not going to criticize Taye. Taye came out with a book that's very controversial. It's for young people, and the book is called Mixed and Me. Now, grant you, Taye is not mixed. His child is. His child is half white and he's black. Well, his child is white, mother's white, and he is an African-American man. And he is saying that in the HuffingtonPost.com, they came out with an article saying Taye Diggs wants his son to be called mixed and not black. Stacey, what do you feel about that?
I love how Stacey, how do you feel? And I think you asked that because I was a little boiled earlier.
Yes.
And I'm not boiled in an upset way. I didn't like the title of the article that was sent. Like, Dawn sent me an article and sent us an article and it said, Taye Diggs fears that his son would be called black. And I just was appalled because, like, before I even got to the article, I had an idea of what, even though I just feel like that couldn't have been what he said. He couldn't have said it like that. I just can't believe my son's black. There's just no way. And the way that Don sent it to us, he was like, this is where self-hatred is. Like, this is what we're talking about. So I have an issue. I've always said this, and I'm going to bring Tia and Tamara up as an example because I love them a lot, and I love their little brother Taj. And one time I was watching an interview, and he was on Wendy Williams, and she was asking him, how do you see yourself? Black, white, yellow, green, how do you see yourself? And he was like, I'm a black man, blah, blah, blah. And he was very, like, I felt like he was defending himself instead of being honest. I saw it. Literally, I showed that clip to, like, 4 friends, and I was like, this makes me unhappy because I want him to be able to be like, I'm black and I'm white. Your dad's black, your mom's white. You should be able to praise both of them. They freaking made you together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like when people feel like they have to choose necessarily.
Okay.
I really don't, but then on the other side, you see the way society makes you choose in terms of your hair's a little curly, you're black. Your butt's a little big, or whatever kind of stereotypes come with that.
Absolutely.
There was an episode of Blackish where Tracee Ellis Ross made a joke about that because Anderson, I forgot his first name right now, I can't. Anthony Anderson called her. He was like, you're not even black. You're like half this, half that, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, then tell that to my ass and my hair. And I wanted to, like, I was like, I didn't laugh. And I was really surprised that I didn't, because I was like, she shouldn't feel like that. She should feel like I am half this and I am half that. And that's what she is. That's just the truth of what she is. So I don't know. I think with him, I think because I personally see him as a very strong black man, I didn't really expect that to come from him.
Right.
But I don't mind that he's trying to give his kid an identity.
Who are we to tell these people how to feel?
Right.
Because Stacey is.
I mean, you're freaking mixed.
But Tracee Ross, keep in mind, is also mixed. Her mother's black and her father is, I think, Jewish or white, whatever part of the white culture he's part of. My sons are Jewish, half black and half Jewish. German, excuse me. So they're half black and half German. They're not here, so they have to speak for themselves. But I will say this: if we look at someone that is of the mixed origin, I think we're all mixed in America. I don't think there's any purebred. My grandmother was half white, half black. And then my mother married an African-American man who had Indian in him and African in him. And so as we trace our heritage, we find that we have a variety of things in us. And all of a sudden, the skin tone that shines the most gets the most attention. It's the prominent source. Right. Don, what do you feel about that?
Interesting.
It's I wrestle with the question of what is black.
Okay.
And I think that as over the course of time in our fights for rights, the definition or the understanding of what it means to be black has gotten lost. I think that even for those of us that are of color on this table, we don't represent black America. We represent a subculture or subcultures of black America. Mm-hmm. And I think that when Taye Diggs feared that his son might be referred to as black, I don't know what stereotype he didn't want his son to be associated with. Mm-hmm. But that to me makes a lot, because if he was the face of blackness, then his son would obviously find pride in saying, I'm black because I come from my father. But to also be able to say, I'm not only black, I'm also part white. I come from my mother, and I think that there's value in honoring that. Absolutely. But I think the fact that a man has to say he fears it is indicative of his struggle with understanding what black is.
Right.
I mean, I
think this really has nothing to do with Taye Diggs' son. I think this is Taye Diggs' issue.
This is probably Taye Diggs' issue because he's projecting.
Because your son doesn't know what the hell he is.
This baby's like 3. How old is this
Not
kid?
that he doesn't know what he is, but even what you're about to say, or what you're saying, at their age, aren't you identified? Like when I was 2, I was pretty sure I was black. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just know. So does his kid have to deal with some type of struggle?
I don't know if I agree with that, because as a kid, kids are colorblind. They really are colorblind. When I had my little kid, I remember I said, we were watching something, and I said, well, that's a minority. And I remember my son was 8 years old. He says, what's a minority?
Yeah.
He was like,
you know what? I agree
and he
with that.
literally didn't know what that meant.
We
He's like,
teach that to them.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
had to explain what it was.
Yeah.
So we had to instill that, well, there's a difference. Oh, what is that difference?
Well, it is what we know. I mean, there wasn't such thing as a one-drop rule.
Is Taye Diggs causing a state of confusement in this child at too early of an age?
I think in the innocent and sincere attempt to give his son the best life possible, he fears that the stereotype has a stigma to it that may pull him that way, and he also wants
being black. You mean the stereotype of being a black?
The stereotypes that come with being a black man. I mean, literally, let's be honest. The three of us, excuse me, Mike, but the three of us that are sitting here, how many times have we had someone in our lives in the black community look at us and think that we are trying to be like the white people?
Right.
So many times.
So many times, over and over again. If it's not the way you wear your hair, if it's not your cultural expressions, it's things that you like to get a part of.
The way you speak.
So the truth is, when did we move? What core did we move away from? Or have we moved away? You see what I'm saying? So
I don't think
we've got this.
I think we're going to go back to what Mike said earlier, which is we have to think about how we've been trained, how it's been instilled in us. Mike, what do you feel about that?
I was going to say there was a quote. Let me look it up real quick. But he to me, it came off a little new agey. Like he was talking about like. To me, this is just my perception, it was more new agey, like, why do we need race? Like, more that kind of thing.
Right.
And he's in Hollywood. So that's kind of the way I took it. So I've been trying to take in what your guys... It's always been a perplexing issue to me. Like, I have biracial friends who feel like, in stand-up, my friend Nelson, he talks about being biracial, but he looks geeky. And he's like, well, I got mostly the white hat. Like, but there's definitely things there. And he's like, it's so weird that I have to address this stuff. Like, to him, it's weird. He's like, why? Like, I'm just me. Like, people... But if he doesn't address it...
Right.
People are like, who are you? We can't put you in a box.
Yeah, because he's also kind of, like, racially ambiguous.
Attention because he wrote a book about it. Right. So he's the one that brought it up even more. I mean, he's amplified it even more. He's trying to put the pieces of the son's life together. Is he trying to sell a book or is he trying to exploit himself?
But that's the thing. With Mike's point, or with Mike's perception about new agey, I thought that was very interesting that you said that, because do we see it as new agey when it comes from a black man like that? Like I don't.
I did only because of things I've heard him say before, and he's very like kind of like.
When we think about Raven Simone and how Raven Simone has this thing about she didn't want to be considered black.
I kind of.
He might get the same backlash that Raven Simone is getting all on social media. She get a lot of hateism out there
because the truth is that there is a negativity that is associated with black.
And now black people are doing it as well.
Right. Black people are doing it amongst ourselves. We did it between the light skin and the dark skin.
Right.
The kinky hair versus the straight hair. The light eyes versus the dark eyes.
Right.
But socially, there are subliminal messages that we have sent to the whole issue of black. I'm not black, number one. That's just the government term that I'm identified by. Right. But this is not black.
No,
it's just melanin in your skin.
Yeah, but it's true. But when you start looking at things socially, I mean, on a subliminal level, you think about, black is spooky, white is angelic.
Yeah, but look how reinforced the white being a good guy is.
Angel's food cake is white. You see what I'm saying? You get buried in a black dress, you get married in a white dress. So you got all these subliminal things. Women, if you go out and buy nude stockings, you got to buy coffee. While Amy over there got to buy nude. So you have all these subliminal messages that get put into the filter of our conversation. So
preach.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So you do have have this element in our community where we don't really know where it is, and we're trying to get away from the negativity and find the neutral ground. If you found this blended family or this mixed family that you're now creating a mixed child with, you sometimes want to create a whole new culture.
Right.
Do you think that we have already? I was like, we have already created.
Yeah, we do it until we get ready to have a black family meeting, or the black family hears you articulate what your difference is.
Yeah,
and then we come after you.
Well, my father always said, look in the mirror if you don't know what you are. And that will have your answer resolved.
I don't like anybody, and this is me, and I'm white, so I get to, kind of have this view. I hate anyone who identifies purely based off their race or their gender or if they just that's all you know about them, that person is generally annoying. If they're happy about being white and that's all they talk about, that's an annoying person.
No, who the
all
hell
they talk
do you
about
know
is being gay.
that?
Oh, dude. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it.
Bring them in.
That single-minded viewpoint will hold you back every time. We're going to move to our next subject matter, but before we do have a sponsor, and that sponsor, we're going to lead to one of our hosts who's going to read about that sponsor. Taye Diggs, in closing, you know what? We have a lot of respect for all of this. That's my last dig, Taye Diggs. My brother, let that little boy learn who he is to himself.
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing with any mixed kids. But having mixed kids myself, I never said to my child, you are black, hey, my kid's a wife, even though I do call them little Negroes at times. That's another story. I use another word because that's how I talk to them. But I think maybe one day we'll have a mixed kid on here and let that kid speak for those of that community. But for now, it continues on to be a very interesting subject matter.
I wish Anthony was here.
I know, that's what I was about to say.
This. Dang it. Okay,
Yes.
we got to just 5 minutes next week.
Yeah.
5 minutes
Go
next
ahead,
week.
Mike.
All right, guys, if you like fantasy football, I love fantasy football. So I play every week. Go to DraftKings.com. It's like, okay, so one of my teams is 6-3. We're hanging on in there. Every other team is garbage. So this gives me a chance to reinvigorate my love of fantasy football. Go every week, put your fantasy skills to the test. Every week you draft a new team, so you start fresh. So if you sucked last week, you can kick butt this week. You can make money doing it. There's a new millionaire every week. You can turn your love of fantasy football into a life-changing payday. So just pick your players, pile up the points, and pick the cash. That's it. Go to DraftKings.com to do it.
DraftKings.
Yeah. Promo code BLACK.
Promo code BLACK. Black people. Black
put in black on the promo. You get free money when you do it. They match your deposit.
Yeah.
What if the promo code was white?
No, it's
I'm
the
just saying.
black
We have got to get to the next
No.
Would we be offended?
We could.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Again, 5 minutes next week.
Earl
We got to
Grey.
add that to it.
Regarding what is going on next in the world, let's talk about France. Recently, we found out that France was under attack.
Yes.
ISIS on the verge again, on the war path again. And there were how many, Mike? Does anyone know how many actually number of men that were killed and women that were killed in France? I think a little bit under 200 people.
Yeah, it's about 180.
I thought it was 170.
There's still. I've seen 172 to 183, so I can't find the exact number, but that's a lot.
171 to 182?
Yeah.
Yeah. And our hearts, first of all, from Black Hollywood Live and the Black Tea Party goes out to those family members that have been lost or anyone related to those subject matter. This is real. This is reality that we live here in 2015 where we feel that a lot of people are on the edge. You don't know what's around you. People are jittery, even in France. In France, they do not believe in the right to bear arms. So many of you don't know that that's one of the blessings of this Second Amendment here in the United States of America, that we do have the right to bear arms. But in France, they don't. So they totally rely on their police and their police system. Even some of the police that patrol the streets don't actually bear arms. There's a certain armed forces that do bear arms in those countries, in those European countries. So this is very shocking for them. It's interesting because I saw some of the protesting and then someone had let a balloon off or something had popped. And even the protesters at that point all scattered because they were so scared. They never have been through what we deal with in the urban communities on a weekly, monthly basis.
Isn't that a good thing, though?
It is a good thing, but it is good.
I'm saying, okay, so this is, everyone wants to talk about guns. They've lost 170 people, and I think another 5 this year, total gun deaths. We've lost over 17,000, I think, at this point. We've lost 17,000 from guns. They've lost 175. We'll go to 190.
This is
Do you see my argument for guns?
I get your argument, but I'm saying, are these so you're telling me in a whole year that this is the...
They've had 190 deaths.
We don't know
disagree
anything.
with you, Mike. I don't think that's true numbers. You
the
can't tell me out of all the people in the
right.
in Europe, there's only these people that have died.
Yeah.
No, I said in France. I said France.
No,
but
that even France will release as far as information. America's very free in providing media and providing what goes on in the military and on the streets and urban communities. Their media is probably
now
very,
you guys
very
are just
tight.
speculating about their media.
We're not speculating. We're giving you true facts.
This is from Reuters.
I don't know if it's. I'm only saying that it makes
doesn't
more.
make
It wouldn't
sense.
make sense for the number that we just heard to be the only number in 10 months.
Right.
It would just be a little,
For them?
because crime. Huh?
They don't have guns. That's my point. My point is they don't have guns, so
But it
these
doesn't
things
mean that
don't
people
happen.
They have
get them.
knives. People are still stabbing. People are still killing.
And
you
how
have
many
strings.
innocent
There's other ways to
bystanders?
kill
Okay, but that's
people
not-
other
We should
than a
really
gun.
research this and come back to this.
Right, actually,
this is the
we're
question.
guessing.
Because
we're
guns
guessing.
are going to be a topic
Yeah.
in our discussion. But
Right.
we should
Yeah,
really
we're
find
Let's
guessing.
go back
We're
to the
guessing.
fact that it still comes down to Syria, and everyone is on arms and they're on edge right now. So right now, Syria has been trying to get refugees to come in America, and I brought ISIS and France subject up because of what has happened there. There is a lockdown nationwide, worldwide on security. And so America, here's America, it's just an example of America, has a loophole that's trying to open up, and that is allowing refugees to come into this country. And many people in this country are outraged, and many people feel, well, don't everyone have a chance to come to the land of the home, the free, and the brave? Well, the question is, at this time, with all that's going on in the world and all the loopholes, including the wall that's open and there's cracks coming in through Mexico, what do we deal with that? And how do we deal with that? Because recently the U.S. government has put out basically telling that we are not going to allow refugees in America. President Obama was trying to push it through, and the House of Republicans and the Democrats have all agreed that they are not allowing those Syrians to come into
it's
this
a
country.
state issue.
But I
just
thought
it's a national issue.
But a little clarity to that.
No, I'm saying who
a little
allows
clarity
to.
to that. What they've actually said is that they are implementing a pause on the plan. So it's not that they've decided to not.
Yeah, because I
They're
didn't know
implementing
that.
a pause so that we could revisit this issue to find out if there are any changes we need to make to the security of the process, or should we even do it at all?
Before
so
we
it is a
decide
pause,
what to do.
as opposed
Well,
to-
they did definitely vetoed President Obama.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that means that they stopped and said, we're not going to do this.
Doesn't mean it
Right.
can't come back on the table,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Well, I mean, this isn't about President
asking
Obama.
you,
This is really about whether or not we
this
want
is
folks
about
to come
urban
in.
communities, and let me tell you
Yeah.
why. Where are these people going to go? They're not going to go into a nice suburban area or mid-class suburban area. Where do people who are refugees or who come to this country and migrate? They come to the urban communities. So the first people of threat are us.
They're not threat. They're
I don't-
running from ISIS.
They're not. I don't.
They're
think
not a threat.
like
They're
that.
going through the
Who's to
vetting
say
process.
that any of those
Syrian.
people, who's to say that any of these people are not part of ISIS regime?
Okay, that's a valid.
what needs to be
We didn't know
addressed.
Dylan
but that's
Roof
why.
was gonna
But that's
shoot up
why
a
I think that's
church.
why it's being analyzed more, in
Absolutely.
depth. And I don't think it's. I don't know how to say safe, but I guess I don't think it's easy to say they're threats before we don't know.
Well, the only reason
I don't
why
think
that's come up, Stacey, is because one of the people that were part of this attack on France was they manipulated the refugee process to get in. So if it happened there,
No. That was a fake passport. They found 3 fake passports so far from guys who are from other. No, all the ISIS guys so far that they've caught and killed or are in custody have all been homegrown in Europe. They're not Syrian refugees. That they want you to think they're Syrian refugees because if they're
they want
Syrian
you to think
refugees,
a lot of things.
they
want
get
you
to
think
push
a
the
lot of
Syrian
things.
refugees back, and those guys they're hoping will become ISIS terrorists.
so there was no infiltration of the
No,
of
so
the
far
refugees.
there is absolutely no evidence for that.
I
ISIS-
heard conflicting reports.
You know, I would say this. Whatever the case may be, thank you for not allowing those people in our country. That's how I feel.
I can't wait till they
feel
come.
that we need
You think
safety in
so?
our country. I think that we need to have a very strong protocol of identifying who's who, putting them through a strong screening process in this country. Our screening process obviously has failed, and these issues still need to be resolved. Look at 9/11. Let's look at other issues that have happened around the world. So, Syrian people, we respect that you're fleeing, but right now we have issues in America that we need to resolve first.
We got terrorists right here.
Right.
Yeah, we have
first.
terrorists. Why are we
Terrorists in
talking
your
Why
like
would you make it
Terrorists in your
worse?
job.
Why would you open
why
up the
is that
wall
making
like
it
they're
that?
not
worse,
terrorists.
though?
You're
Doesn't
just
make it worse.
you're saying because they're Syrian, they're more likely to be terrorists,
It
which
could
is not
possibly
true.
Be. All it
No.
takes is one. All it takes
All
is
it
one.
takes is one.
All it
There
takes
we
is
go.
one.
But all it takes is one
Let's put
everywhere.
everyone in jail
It takes
because
only
they
one.
might commit a
I didn't
crime.
say
Let's
about
do that
putting
too.
anybody in jail. I said what we need to do is protect our country, and thank God that our legislation, our government, our Constitution
Are
still holds
xenophobic enough
its
to-
values.
But I think that
Well, it doesn't hold
its value.
it's
to that
going to
conclusion.
change
It holds its
though.
value because we
Not to that
had
conclusively, though,
two.
Shirley.
The House Republicans, the Republicans, Democrats finally came on something. There was a bipartisan agreement that this
Based
bill,
off xenophobia.
that this issue needs to be calmed down. And you're wrong. We have to respect each other. Well, we're coming to the close of our show. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming in. Anybody want to give a shout out to anybody on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Any of your followers you want to give a shout out to?
Hey Bryce, what's up, dude?
Hi, Bryce.
Hey, whoever
Bryce,
camera.
thank you
Bryce,
so
you are
much
so faithful, man.
I
Thank
guess
you.
Bryce is our guy for the day.
Bryce is our guy for the day. But there are
You know?
tons of Facebook folk that commentary. They kind of give some backdrop and some input on this. Some Instagram folk that are constantly,
Yes.
So thank you all for,
Please tweet, share, Instagram, talk about our shows, make clips of them, whatever you want to do. Make sure some of you guys have been talking to me on my Instagram, asking me questions. If you find there's a valid subject matter, we like to talk about that. We find that valid. And however you look at this show, we all have the right to our opinion. Put it on the table and have a little black tea with it. My name is Shirley Hussar, H-U-S-A-R. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and find me at Urban Game Changers. We're going to urban communities, and we are holding elected officials accountable. Don.
Well, it's been a great show. I mean, I like talking about these issues. I'm Don. Follow me on Facebook, Don Nash, Instagram, Mr. Don Nash, and Twitter, Don's Daily Dose. See you next week.
Hey, at Michael Teemont, MIHKELTEEMANT, and Michael J. Teemont on Instagram, michaelteemont.com.
Crazy heated conversation. We all have our different opinions, but it's always good to be here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Stacey Ike. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace, and I'll see you guys next week.
Paddle Bear Pie, y'all. We love you. Thank you for watching.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm sure he moved it.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.